Hey guys, welcome to our channel Mystery Recaps. Today, we will go over a short horror movie named Experiment 18. This fantastic movie has been praised for its ambience and sounds. The movie starts with a view of passing by vehicles on the street and a building behind. Also, further back, the cityscape can be seen. A few seconds later, Stephanie appears in an apartment. She enters the living area and speaks on the phone with her father. While on the phone with her father, she says she has just reached her brother's place and will let her father know if she finds her brother. Her father then hangs up the phone, saying he will talk to her later. Stephanie then looks around the apartment and sees her brother's keys, wallet, and phone. Seeing her brother's belongings inside the apartment makes her think he might be inside the apartment, and she decides to call her brother Mark. She calls his name and asks if he is inside the apartment. She slowly walks through the apartment. As she walks, Stephanie keeps on talking to Mark as if he is there and can hear her. She says their parents are starting to get worried since they have not heard from him for weeks. While Mark's belongings inside the house indicate that he has not left the place, there is no answer from him. Stephanie goes on to say that she's just there to make sure he's okay. However, there's no answer from Mark so far yet. As she walks, Stephanie is about to enter what appears to be a bedroom. She enters the bedroom and looks around. Suddenly, Stephanie hears a sound coming from another part of the apartment. She then turns around and slowly walks toward the sound. Stephanie slowly reaches the living area, which also happens to be a room with a kitchen. She walks over to the kitchen side of the area and looks around. And that is when Stephanie hears the sound coming behind her in the same room. She then turns around to see from where the sound is coming. As soon as Stephanie turns around, her eyes fall on a circular table with a white blanket. She was sure that the sound was coming from the table. Stephanie then starts taking slow steps toward the circular table to check what's going on and how exactly the table is making sounds. As she gets closer to the table, she lifts the blanket and drops it on the floor. As soon as she removes the blanket and uncovers the table, she seems surprised by what she sees. On the table, she sees what appears to be a hole that is wide enough to fit a man. Seeing the strange hole in the table, Stephanie is surprised and confused at the same time. Stephanie, wondering where that hole possibly came from, checks under the table and even touches it, but unfortunately finds nothing. She keeps on looking at the hole for about a moment. The strange hole is quite dark and deep. As Stephanie gets curious, she decides to do something. What do you think Stephanie will do? Pause the video and let us know in the comment section. Stephanie then finds a rope and begins tying the rope around her phone. Stephanie then turns the video camera on and begins to drop the phone inside the hole by suspending it with the help of the rope. The phone kept going in slowly, and after it reached as much deeper as it could, Stephanie pulled it up and started watching the footage. As the phone kept going in, some magnetic interference could be seen in the footage. After the phone reached as deep as it could, it captured what appeared to be a staircase of some kind. After watching the footage, Stephanie finds it hard to process. Stephanie immediately calls her father and says that she knows where her brother is, but he has to see it for himself. However, her father is hesitant to come there because he would have to travel long distances. Stephanie then tells her father to trust her and that it might be the only chance to find Mark. After hanging up, Stephanie sits on the bed. A few hours pass. It is nighttime and Stephanie is asleep. Stephanie fell asleep as she was tired. Shortly after, Stephanie's phone beeps as she receives a message from her father, and she wakes up. Stephanie gets off the bed and replies to her father's message. Stephanie then walks towards the laptop that belongs to Mark. Stephanie sits in front of the laptop. She hovers the cursor on the trash icon and clicks on it. Surprisingly, Stephanie finds 3 files inside the trash bin, which she restores. After restoring the files, she clicks on the video file named Experiment 18. In the video, Stephanie sees the same hole that she saw, and at the same time, she hears Mark speaking. In the beginning, Mark states his name and says that the hole is a part of an experiment called Experiment 18 and a project called Project Abyss. It turns out that Mark is a physics student. As Stephanie watches the video, she gets watery eyes. Further in the video, Mark says he is continuing to explore the end of the tunnel. Mark further states that he is at the tunnel's edge, and it is colder there. He also states that large dust particles are floating in the infinite black void, which can be seen in the video simultaneously. At the end of the video, Mark says it was getting harder to breathe and asks how these things survive down there. At this point, Stephanie does not seem to have any idea what things Mark is talking about. Also, at this point, Stephanie is quite sad, assuming she has lost her brother. Stephanie then clicks to open another file named Rules. After opening the file, she finds something that worries her and makes her rush to the circular table. The file has 2 rules that appear to be rules for entry into the hole. Out of the 2 rules, the second is what makes Stephanie rush to the circular table. The second rule is to always cover the hole's entrance and not let in any light, so anything that is inside does not get out. At this point, Stephanie knows that the hole is actually a portal. Unfortunately, Stephanie did not cover the portal's entrance. What do you think Stephanie should do now? Pause the video and let us know in the comment section. Stephanie quickly walked towards the room where the table was. After she gets close, she picks up the blanket and puts it over the table. Unfortunately, it was too late. As Stephanie turns around and starts walking, she sees a shadowy black figure standing next to the refrigerator. This frightens her, and she freezes. The shadowy black figure appears to have a physical structure similar to humans. A few seconds later, the black figure starts walking towards Stephanie, and strangely, the figure appears to disappear and reappear within a matter of seconds, just like a light flashes. The black figure, whatever it is, can be heard making creepy noises, which totally scares Stephanie. However, she can move and quickly rushes to another room. As soon as she gets inside the room, she finds herself in quite the dilemma of choosing a room out of the 2 to hide. Stephanie knows that the scary black figure is coming for her, but at the same time, she finds it hard to choose a place to hide. In the end, Stephanie chooses the room to her right. Stephanie then quickly gets into the room and shuts the door, leaving a little opening for light to pass so that she can see the black figure. Stephanie hides behind the door and stands there, waiting quietly. A few seconds later, the black figure appears in the other room and startles Stephanie, and out of a reflex, she puts her hand on her mouth, covering it so that she doesn't make any sound accidentally. While Stephanie is hiding inside the room, the black figure keeps looking for her. A few seconds later, the black figure appears in front of the door of Stephanie's room. The shadowy black figure stands there for some time before attempting to enter the room. The shadowy black figure slowly begins to push the door, further frightening Stephanie. However, a few seconds later, something comes to Stephanie's rescue. Stephanie's phone beeps in the other room as her father sends a message saying that he will reach the apartment in 5 minutes. The beep distracts the shadowy black figure, making it go toward the other room. Stephanie hears the black figure leaving the room. After waiting, Stephanie opens the door and steps out of the room. She then looks around the other room and slowly starts walking. Stephanie has no idea what the shadowy black figure is or what it will do to her. She only knows that it's dangerous and she needs to run for her life. Stephanie intends to get out of the apartment as quickly as possible. However, she cannot run toward the room. Do you think Stephanie will be able to get out of the apartment? Let's watch ahead. Make sure you hit that like button if you are enjoying the video. Since making any sound might endanger her life, Stephanie starts walking quietly. No matter how much she wants to rush, Stephanie takes each step slowly and carefully. As she keeps taking slow steps, Stephanie looks behind, towards the room where she left her phone. Stephanie can hear the faint footsteps of the shadowy black figure. She then turns her head and starts walking. Finally, after a long, careful and quiet walk, Stephanie reaches the main door and slowly starts pushing down the door handle. Finally, Stephanie successfully unlocks the door, but she hears the shadowy black figure creeping behind her. Hence, the ending of the movie. So guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and also hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to watch more interesting movie recaps.